Mike Owens with Inside Fighting, and it's always a pleasure to be joined by Vicente Luque, who returns to action UFC 316, facing Kevin Holland in Newark, New Jersey. Vicente, it's always a pleasure. How are your emotions ahead of this next fight?
Yeah, man, I'm excited, get finally to get back in there. I wanted to get back in there sooner, but it's a big fight. I think it's very exciting to fight a guy like Kevin Holland. He's a guy that always kind of entertains, so it's gonna be fun.
So, for those who don't know this, Vicente and I caught up in Miami, and Kevin Holland was one of the three names that you listed you would like to fight next. It was Ian Gary, it was Stephen Thompson, and it was Kevin Holland. Did you know about this fight when we spoke in Miami? Was it already in the works?
It wasn't on the works, but it was one of the names that me and Ali, my manager, we
Mm.
were talking about. So, we had we had some ideas and he was working, and I always leave it up to him because he
Mm.
always has done a great job, managing me. We always have gotten, really good fights that I wanted. And this was a fight, one of the possibilities, and we got it lined up, and it worked out for me and for Kevin to have finally a date to fight.
I know that you were born in the state of Jersey. I think it's Westwood is the borough or the city.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
What are
The city.
your memories or your recollections as a youngster living in New Jersey? Does it feel like part of your home?
Yeah, it does for sure. Yeah, I was born in Westwood, but I lived in New Milford
Okay.
for about from when I was born to about 6 years old. That's when I moved to Brazil, and I do remember not a lot, but I remember being there with my mom and dad. My grandmother used to live also with us, and were good times. I remember a lot of the snow. That's something that always, like, in Brazil we have no snow, so
Mm.
that was very something that always stood on my memories. The snow days, having fun, and and after that, I came back to New Jersey almost every year to see my dad. My dad still lives in New Jersey.
Oh,
I have my grandfather living there. I have uncles, aunts, cousins all live in New Jersey. So, I still have a lot of family there. I've been there a lot. My dad lives in Millington now, so it's different city, but still in that kind of central area of New Jersey. And yeah, my dad works not far from where I'm gonna fight. He works in Newark, and
okay.
I'm fighting in Newark, right in Prudential Center, so it's really close to his job. So yeah, it's very familiar to me.
Is your dad or any of the other Luque family going to be in attendance?
Maybe I'm
Mm.
not sure yet. My dad, since my fight with Jeff Neal, he kind of got nervous
Mm.
of watching me, and usually he doesn't watch live. He'll watch it after, after he already knows what happened. I got the win, then he'll watch
Mm.
the fight, and I totally respect that. I understand it's not an easy sport, especially to see your son, going through this kind of stuff. So. I don't know. I don't think he's gonna go, but maybe somebody else from my family.
100%. Let's talk about the fight. Kevin Holland, a guy who's very active, a guy who has quite a unique style in some ways. Break him down for me. What do you think are his strengths, and what do you think are an area or two that you're looking to exploit?
I think it's the biggest thing is unpredictable guy. I think he could fight anywhere. He has finishes on the ground and on the stand up. Some fights he goes out there just to strike. Other fights we've seen him wrestle and grapple.
Mm.
So it's really hard to predict, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm focusing on his attributes. I think he's really explosive. He's a long, he likes to work in that long range. And he's not a guy that is afraid of taking risks. He'll
Mm.
take risks and try to do big moves. And these are the things that I've been trying to get the guys that I'm training with to kind of prepare me for that and sharpening up all my tools. I'm also a very versatile fighter. I got finishes everywhere, and I think where I differ is I'm a little bit more technical, and I think that's going to play in my favor. I think that I can definitely exploit that technical tactics to exploit maybe some openings that he brings on the fight. But we'll see. I think more than anything, it's going to be an exciting fight.
I know that Renier de Ridder has been spending some time in your gym. He obviously fought Holland in January, and I was looking through his list, and there's Derek Brunson, who I know used to spend time in your gym. There was Brendan Allen, who's in your gym. Gerald Meerschaw fought him all those years ago. Has there been anybody in the gym who's maybe fought him or had to mimic his style for another opponent that you've been picking the brains of in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I did talk to RDR this morning about
Mm,
that. We were talking about some of his fights, kind of just getting another look at what a guy like him, which is a great fighter, thinks
mm,
about that fight. And we've trained together, so he also knows kind of my style and how it matches up. And mainly him, and obviously at who I'm working with is Delano. He's going to be going to the fights with me. Uh, Jason Jackson also is a guy that I've been working with a
mm.
lot. I always work with him a lot because I just feel that we make each other sharper. And
Of course.
Gregory Robocop, he's a tall, strong guy. He always gets me prepared. If I'm ready to to fight a guy like Gregory, I can fight anybody. That guy is a beast.
Very
So
true.
for me, it's something that really helps me being confident in that octagon.
I know that this is a fight between, I think you've got still got the number 14 next to your name. Kevin's outside of the rankings, but this fight on this card, it feels like a bigger fight than just you defending your spot in the rankings. What do you feel like the stakes are, and what do you feel like a win over Kevin Holland does for you in the 170-pound division?
I think it's the fight that starts bringing me back up to that top five. That's my goal for this year, and I'm focused on it. I'm locked in. Uh, Even though I'm going to be starting in June, the fightings of this year, I still want to try to put three fights in this year and jump to that top five, even maybe a top three. And I think that's what Kevin Holland is right now. A big name. He has been ranked in both divisions, middleweight and welterweight. He has won, has big wins over big names. So for me, it's like you said, it's not number 14 guy against an unranked guy. It's much more than that. We have a lot of history in the UFC. The fans know that, and we're going out there and we're going to put on a great fight. I know that anybody knows Holland and Luque, when that was matched up,
Hmm.
all the fans wanted to see that fight. So I think that's a fight that really is going to bring a lot of eyes to this, and it's going to set me up for this run up to the top of the division again.
How have you reacted to opponents talking to you mid-fight in the past? Has that ever happened? And what do you anticipate from Kevin Holland, who is known as Big Mouth?
I mean, I don't recall anybody talking to me. I remember in the fight against Mike Perry, at a point, like me and him, we looked at each other. He smiled at me. I smiled back because
Mm,
we knew that it was a war. But it doesn't bother me that much. I think it's gonna be entertaining. It's gonna be fun. I like to have fun in fights, and if that's what it seems like he does as well. He likes to have fun, so that's what I think this fight is gonna be. Obviously, I have my own style. I'm not gonna talk much, but if he wants
mm.
to talk to me, hey, it's up to him. I have no problem with that.
I love it. Um, I have to get your reaction on the recent title fight in your division. Jack Della Maddalena is the new welterweight champion. Give me your reaction to the fight and how you kind of analyze that performance from JDM.
I think it was a really, really good fight. It surprised me, especially like the way that the fight went. I think that Maddalena, I knew he had superior striking, and I think he held back in the first two rounds,
Mm,
which I think is what set him up for that win. Why? Because it's almost like he let Belal think that he could strike against Maddalena in those two first
mm,
rounds, and then after that, third, fourth, fifth round, Maddalena put up a high pace. And maybe, Belal thought that Maddalena was going to get tired. He didn't get tired. And once he had already started engaging in that striking battle, it's hard for you to switch back to wrestling and find your timing. So I think that was like real good tactics on Maddalena,
mm.
his camp, all his trainers, and and exciting. I think that he is a really exciting champion. Is a guy
Mm.
that I want to fight down the line since he fought Gilbert. It's a guy that I wanted to fight, and I don't know. I think it's nice to have a striker as a champion. I always like that.
I can see your eyes lighting up at the possible thought of you one day facing JDM because your style and his style. I mean, wow, what a fight that would be.
For sure, for sure.
Um, so in your mind, was it a case of Jack improved based upon what we'd already saw, or did you feel like Bilal had a kind of off night? Because there's a little bit of debate online of was it massive improvement shown by Jack, or was Bilal maybe not on his A game? What do you think?
I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, I don't know much about Bilal, what was
Mm,
going on, if he's good or not. But for me, it always comes down to that night. You got to go out there and you got to show up. That's what makes a champion. Bilal has showed up so many times
mm,
to be where he was. And I don't know. I think that Madalena did what he needed to do. He went out there, had a great fight. Bilal tried to took him down to the fifth round. Had a good start in that fifth round, but you could see Madalena working through it. And then when it was standing up, he just had great precision, hard hits, and caused a lot of damage. So I mean, for me, it always comes down to what we watched that night. And
mm,
Madalena was the better man. He did what he needed to do, and I don't think Belal fought as I would suggest him to fight. Knowing his record, knowing how he fights against other guys, he could really try to out wrestle, and he has cardio for that. He didn't try that in that fight, so I don't know why he opted for that, but still, a mistake on his side, and Madalena took an advantage of that.
If the rumors are true and Islam Makhachev gets the next shot at Jack Della Maddalena in trying to become a two-weight world champion, who would you favor in that matchup?
Man, that's tough. I
Mm,
think the experience of Makachev, and I've trained with him a couple of times. He's really strong. He's not at all like. I don't think he's gonna struggle
mm,
with the grappling aspect of strength for grappling. He's got a lot of strength for that. He's got good conditioning. Obviously, we welterweights we hit hard, especially guys like me, like Jack. Guys that are strikers, we do hit very hard. So I think that's what's going to be the biggest challenge. But other than that, I give most of a big advantage to Makachev. I think he has experience. He has a lot of skills, more tools. So we'll see. I think it's an interesting fight. I do think Jack can get the win, but I don't have him as a favorite. I
mm.
definitely have Makachev as a favorite.
When you trained with Islam, did he feel like a fighter who was a weight class below you, or did he feel like the same size and strength and density of another welterweight?
I mean, he did feel like he was at that time training for his fights at 155. So I could definitely feel that he was a class underneath,
Mm,
but a really strong guy for that division.
mm,
So a, a guy that I could kind of put in the same page in that case is Gilbert Burns.
mm,
I trained with Gilbert when he was a 155er. I always told him, hey, you should move up because you're very strong. Once he moved up, he was much stronger
mm.
because he could really put in that weight. He could really work in a different, work on his strength more. So that's what I see in Makachev. He's a guy that if he puts in the work, he will be as strong as most welterweights. And yeah, I think that he's not going to struggle in that case.
Mm. Last question from me, and thank you as always for your time. You can be as brief or as detailed as you like, but as you visualize, as you envisage fight day on, I think, the 6th or 7th of June, talk me through what the perfect day looks like.
Man, just waking up, having a good breakfast, pre-work like that morning shakedown that we do, just activating the body, and then go back to my room and think as much as I can about the fight. I love thinking about the fight. I like focusing on what I have to do. It's the task I have, the mission I have, and after that, walk out to the arena and have fun. That's what I do. I'm blessed to have a job that I love and that I have a lot of fun in. So that's what that's the perfect day for me.
I love it. Vicente, it's always a pleasure catching up, my man. Have a great and safe rest of camp, and best of luck for the next fight.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Let's